Hi everyone, it's us, Fabulist Duo. We're back.
For another fabulous episode. This is going to be technically stories 24, like our episode 24. Last week, I was on a business trip,
Yeah, we didn't do an episode last week.
Yeah, our stories. Do you want to remind everybody what the prompts were for those?
Last week, the prompts were the last time, a person has the ability to give any level of misfortune to anyone, but that same person later receives an equal amount of good fortune. And then the other prompt was, where do the one side of your socks go after the dryer? So that was interesting and fun.
Yeah. My story was called Filthy Rich. Michelle's story was called Day Aside. Can you guess which prompt goes with which? Clearly, Day Aside is about laundry. Yeah. You just take a DD, throw it in the laundry machine, wash it, it's clean.
Yes, excellent.
Okay. Don't forget, you guys can all listen to our podcast on our Podbean app, of course, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Listen Notes, and Samsung Podcasts, as well as these episodes are uploaded to YouTube. So hi, YouTube. And yeah, you can just enjoy, comment, send us stuff, reach out, email, have a good time.
Yes. Give us those comments on YouTube. We need that interaction. It'll be good.
Yeah, just some nice feedback here and there. So, without further ado, we have 2 brand new stories for you this week. And the prompt, let's see.
Wait, who's going first?
I'll go first.
You're going first?
Yeah, you went first last time, I think, so.
I don't remember. Okay.
I do remember. I just pretend that I don't.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm getting noise in my background, so.
Okay, so the prompt that I provided Michelle last week, or last time, was a person summons a demon accidentally, but they turn out to be very wholesome. The title of Michelle's story is Bully. The judge banged the gavel on her podium to silence the crowd. The jury and the other people in the court were letting out a cacophony of shocked gasps and yelps of surprise. Before the court case had even started, some people were even standing in shock. Tora thought that it was understandable. After all, it was not normal to see a demon walk into court. The demon stood 8 feet tall with bright red skin, as cartoonish as the ones she used to see in the shows she watched as a kid. The bottom half of his jaw jutted forward and 2 fangs stuck out over his top lip. His eyes were cat-like with pointed pupils, and they were sunken in his skull, making him look more intimidating. The crowd stared at him, and some people even got up to leave. They recognized what he was supposed to be and what he represented. And up until now, most of them probably thought that demons and devils didn't exist. Until recently, Tora thought that demons and devils didn't exist either. The judge was still banging her gavel. "Silence in the court! I will have order!" she yelled over the sounds of people leaving, the horrified cries, and the rustling of others wordlessly drawing crosses over their hearts. The demon was wearing an ill-fitted suit that was wrapped around his huge, slouching frame. Where he got it, she didn't know or care. Accompanied by his lawyer, he walked down the aisle on his hooved feet and took the podium next to hers. She didn't realize that she was staring at him. But then again, how could she not? He was, after all, a monster. They shared a glance, and she looked away, facing forward toward the judge, trying to calm everyone down. It was something of a ridiculous scene. Of course, people would be in a panic seeing a demon walk into public space, and to tell them to calm down and act like everything was normal was nothing short of wishful thinking. She scoffed and sighed at the thought of having to wait for the people to debate whether or not there should be a court hearing at all, or if they should just call a priest. The demon was looking around at his surroundings with an air of wonder, drinking in the scenery, while he also waited for silence. Tora loved reading and learning all about the demons of the underworld. Everything and anything that had mentions of demonology in it, she would read, watch, and consume as if it was the air in her lungs. Until one day, she came across an extremely old book that seemed to have fallen behind her shelf. A book that she hadn't remembered buying or borrowing from anywhere. Her thoughts were interrupted by the judge calling for court to be in session. She realized that she was staring at the demon again, and again he caught her gaze and returned it with a frown. "So, if I understand correctly, Miss Tora," the judge began ruffling through the pages in front of her and looked at Tora through the spectacles on her nose, looking for confirmation on the name. Tora nodded and said, "Yes." And the judge continued, "You are suing the..." She looked up again, this time towards the demon, sighed, and looked back to her papers. "The defendant for false advertisement?" She finished with a confused and exasperated tone. "Yes." Tora nodded again. Demons were supposed to be evil, and the fact of the matter is, when she had finally met one, he was not remotely evil. In fact, as soon as she had summoned him and gave him an order, he refused and began baking cookies instead. "And Mr. What do I call you, sir?" At this point, the judge had given up on the notes in front of her. "Sathanas," he responded. The judge sputtered. "Sathanas? As in the demon of wrath?" Sathanas nodded. A gasp rang through the crowd, and someone even fainted. "You can call me Sath for short," he said cheerily, with a sharp-toothed smile. Panic started to rise in the courtroom again, and as if to quell it, he added, "I've been going to anger management therapy, and I'm doing a lot better now. I'm much happier now, too." Another toothy smile. The judge turned back to Tora. "Miss Tora, please tell me what the basis is for this case." Tora uncrossed her arms and placed them on either side of the podium and leaned into the microphone, glad that she would finally get to speak. "Well, as you heard yourselves, he was supposed to be the demon of wrath, but he doesn't have any of the qualities of a regular demon, much less the demon of wrath. I was completely scammed when I summoned him, and instead of doing what I asked, he started baking and even bought a bunch of toys for the kids of the nearby orphanage," she huffed, sending a glare in the demon's direction, who responded with the face of a scolded child. "This is blatant misrepresentation, and I wonder if he even really is Sathanas at all. With an investigation, I'm sure we could also find him guilty of personality theft," she added. Sathanas let out a light sob, and his lawyer was by his side patting his shoulder, which was 2.5 feet over the lawyer's head. "Look, see? What kind of demon cries so easily?" she blurted out, pointing a finger at the demon. The judge sighed and set her glasses down on top of her notes. "Miss Tora, we provided Sathanas with a lawyer from the government, as everyone... She took a slight pause, seeming to be deciding the validity of providing something that is not human with a lawyer, then kept going. Is entitled to representation in a court of law. However, for this case, it seems that he does not need a lawyer. There are many ways that I myself could rip apart your case piece by piece. In fact, I'm not sure what kind of strings you pulled to even get this case in front of me, but I just have one question for you that will decide the verdict. She put on her glasses again and began reading from her notes. What was your order to the demon? She asked. Tora stiffened at that question. Objection! Tora's lawyer yelled out. Overruled. The judge brushed him aside. Tora swallowed and quietly said, I don't remember, Your Honor. She lied. Then how do you have a case, Miss Tora? How could false advertisement have been committed if you don't remember what caused you to conclude that you had been scammed in the first place? The judge calmly inquired, then turned to the demon. Mr. Sath, she called to the sniffling demon. What was the order that Miss Tora gave you? She told me to wipe out her enemies, he said, quietly bending down to the mic. There was a gasp in the audience, and someone else fainted. Tora began to panic and started trying to explain herself to the jury. But it wasn't even my intention to summon him. I did it by accident when I read an incantation out loud from an old book. I didn't have any premeditated intentions, she blurted out. The entire courtroom fell silent, save for the light sound of her lawyer's palm smacking his own forehead. The judge gave her the coldest glare she had ever seen and responded. So the exchange was unsolicited in the first place. No one advertised to you to make you summon the demon in this case. Tora was speechless and stiff with realization at what she had just admitted to. The judge banged her gavel once again without even waiting for the verdict of the jury. I find the defendant not guilty. However, you, Miss Tora, will now have to stand trial for charges of attempted murder and being in contempt of court purely for how much of my time you have wasted on bullying this poor demon. She concluded with another bang of her gavel. Sathanas and his lawyer celebrated with a hug, while Tora, who was still frozen in shock, was taken away by the bailiff to await her next trial. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
That's what happens, you're just out here and it's like, you know what I want to do? I want to wipe out all my enemies, alright? Simple, clean, just the way Utada says it. And, yeah, I'm just gonna use, the Demon of Wrath. Why not? And then you get cookies instead, because the demon's just like, look, you just need to chill. Eat some cookies. Who doesn't like a good cookie?
Yeah. Yeah, and I can't think of a better title, so I'm like, it's a bully. She's a bully.
Bully. Yeah, big old bully.
Big old bully. And I was, trying to, think of the logistics of bringing a demon to court. I'm just kind of like...
Right, even if the judge says, all right, Sathanas, you must do as you were instructed, how does the judge hold that power to make the demon of wrath inflict wrath?
Right? If the Demon of Wrath was the Demon of Wrath, I'm pretty sure she wouldn't be able to take him to court. Even if she tried.
Right? So, at least we know that he is going to anger management therapy, and he's doing much better.
Yeah, he's bettered himself for himself. He's much happier. And then here comes this random girl accidentally summoning him to like kill a bunch of people for no reason.
Exactly.
So, yeah, that's what happened.
That's what happened. So when I was reading the story, I almost by mistake misread a line where it was saying, she put on her glasses again and began reading from her notes. In my brain, I'm not dyslexic, but I read, she put on her glasses again and began reading from her knees. And I just died. I'm like, no.
Is knees even in? Knees is, I don't think that's being dyslexic. That's some other stuff. Knees is not even written in there.
Knees is nowhere, but I mean, there's
knees is nowhere.
There's a K in kind and asked, so the K is shifted over there. There's a bunch of E's, so they like jumbled and danced together in my brain, and I was like, yeah, read from your knees.
Read from your knees.
Right? If you could be the bee's knees, and you can be the reporter's knees. I don't know.
That's what reporters do when they take notes. Wait.
Got our key notes and we got our knee notes.
My knee notes. My knee notes.
Yeah. All right. So that was fun. What made you take it in this direction? Was this the first thing that came to mind, or like?
It just kind of came to mind. I was like, I want to. I part of me was like, I don't want to. Okay. I don't know, man. I just I have no explanation for this.
No, that's perfectly fine.
But I also, yeah,
there might have been some sort of like random epiphany thing you had where you're just like, demons never go to court, and then you realize demons only go to court.
No. So I just, I was like, it would be funny if she took the demon to court just for being himself. So then I did it. But it was also interesting for me because I don't usually write court stories. So I don't know the actual,
law, the lingo of this and that, and the
legal terms. And so I was like, I don't want to fuck anything up. But then I just avoid it as much as possible and just use ones that are like generally known.
Okay.
Like, for example, I don't know if it's possible for a judge to, like, charge someone for being in contempt of court for wasting her time. I don't know if that's possible. I don't think that's possible.
It's not. It is not. But good on you for letting her exercise her authority and abuse her power.
Yeah, like, that was what I was kind of going for. I was just kind of like, okay, so the judge is at this point so exasperated and pissed that she's just gonna say this, even if it's not technically. I think it's legal, but it's not gonna hold up in like court. But it's like legal for her to kind of say that. I think.
I mean, but like, okay, yeah, no, it's fine. Go ahead.
You know what? Let me Google this right now. Can a judge?
A person who, being required by law to attend or remain in attendance for the purpose of giving evidence, fails, without lawful excuse, to attend or remain in attendance, accordingly is guilty of contempt of court, because that counts as being disrespectful and disobedient.
So you can... I think there's a whole...
Time is not...
There's a whole separate charge for wasting the time of the court. Yeah.
Yeah, that's just called Tuesday.
I would call that...
Oh.
I would call wasting the time of the court disrespectful, so that's why. I would argue that. Yeah.
No, it definitely is disrespectful because, like, the judge has better things to do than deal with this.
Yeah. I wish we see that more often in court cases where someone just gets charged for wasting the time of the court.
Yeah, if only all court cases are written by Mash.
Yeah. Yep, everything would be better. If only I was the judge for every single case. Everybody would be charged for wasting my time. Even that's my whole job. But everybody would be charged for wasting my time.
Guilty. Yeah. All right. Well, before anything further occurs, Do you want to read over my story? Or do you just want to leave?
Yeah. I'll
All right.
leave.
All right, bye.
Okay. So, Kristen's prompt last time was a detective goes undercover in a gang to find out that they're not doing anything illegal. The story is called Operation Snowman. Alright, you got the ice? Yeah, it's all made and prepared just the way they like it. Have you talked to our contact on the inside? You know it, the stuff is gonna make them go out of their minds to think we can make over 200 pounds of product and deliver it in just a few weeks. Bernard had overheard two men discussing in an alleyway something seemingly suspicious. He peered around the corner every once in a while to get a glance at their appearances, to look them up in the system later. There had been a lot of crimes happening all over the city lately, so everyone was on high alert. Bernard, who had been working as a detective for about 5 years now, was always on his toes, eyes peeled, ready for action. Although he was off duty due to being on vacation, he had seen a group of men acting very strangely and from his years of experience definitely seemed to match a typical drug deal scenario. Following them at a distance and lurking around the corners led him to these two men discussing product and ice, which was a term used for certain drugs. He knew a big deal was about to go down and had to find his way in. He continued to follow these people around, watching their every move. Peeking around, he had noticed them loading up truck after truck with these strange, large containers on pulleys. They looked like specialized storage units for keeping their goods in perfect condition. Bernard was a bit unsure of how to proceed. Technically, he had not seen any concrete evidence that would allow him to call for backup or get a warrant to search this place. He was also on vacation, but as a workaholic could not take the time to just relax, especially when his city needed his protection. That's when it hit him. The perfect idea to infiltrate their gang was to simply approach and ask to join them. Maybe not so bluntly. He definitely was a tactful man. Looking for the perfect opportunity, he got in his vehicle and followed them around slowly to all of their drop points. This took a few hours, as it seems they were supplying ice to buyers everywhere. Bernard was even surprised to see that some fancy hotels were letting them in to make these deals with them directly. Just how big of an operation are they running here? He mumbled to himself in his car with a slightly astonished look on his face. It was getting late, and their one truck started heading towards an old folks' home. Bernard parked a bit away to keep an eye on them with the binoculars he stores in his glove compartment, just in case he needs to do any stakeouts. It was go time for him. He could see all of the men from before leaving the truck with strange masks on, carrying huge bags. He pulled out his camera and started taking as many pictures of these men heading in there with masks. He knew if he jumped into action now, it was likely he would not make it out alive. So he had a plan which took him about half an hour. Again, he had no concrete evidence, and if anything, he could be charged with some sort of stalking and harassment in the event that these men were innocent, or at least really good at hiding the evidence. Suddenly, the men were back out of the building, loading up their truck with the bags from earlier and their masks still on. Bernard followed again and returned back to the original street where he started following them from. Alright, this must be their headquarters. I'll just take note here, and just then a knock on his window startled him. One of the big burly men was staring him straight in the eyes with a confused but intimidating look. He gestured for him to slide down his window, in which he complied to avoid angering this man. Is there something that I can help you with? Bernard asked the man calmly. I think that's what I should be asking you, the man snapped back, with a glare that pierced through Bernard. I don't know what you mean. I'm just taking a little drive around town and pulled aside to make a phone call. Bernard knew he had to say something quickly, otherwise it would not sound believable. I don't know what you think you're doing, but for your own good, I I recommend you stay away from here and stop following us around, or else. The man huffed and leaned in closer to Bernard. Are you threatening me? Bernard slid his hand slowly over to his gun that was hidden in his car. No threats here, just cautionary advice. The man looked at Bernard's hand moving across the seat. And whatever you think you're about to do, don't. He stood up straight and began to walk away. Bernard still needed a way to get in there, and this could be an opportunity. He jumped out of his car and carefully ran up behind the man. Look, we got off on the wrong foot. I'll be honest. I'm just a fan of your organization's work, and I wanted to get involved. The man's expression shifted from disgruntled to slightly confused to a huge smile. Why didn't you say so? Do you have any experience? We could always use another worker. Well, yes, actually, years and years of experience. They continued chatting for a while and agreed to meet back here in the morning. Bernard got home that evening and started prepping. He had laid out so many tools that would help him record everything so that he could amass all of the evidence possible and safely get out of there. As morning rolled around, Bernard had barely gotten any sleep due to a mix of nervousness and excitement for this bust. He would get so much love and admiration from his colleagues by going undercover and toppling a drug ring from the inside, all while on vacation. Definitely not against protocol. He drove to the warehouse and was taking a few deep breaths before getting out of his car and making his way in. The place was huge, and he could see all kinds of specialty equipment everywhere. Huge machines that looked like they were for storage, other machines that looked like they were for mixing. He was really getting all of the details on its hidden body cam. A hand gently grasped his shoulder. Hey buddy, you made it! You know, our last guy had a bit of an accident, so we were pretty happy to see you were interested in joining. What kind of accident did he have? Bernard gulped, waiting for an answer. Let's just say it was not pretty. With that, the leader of this gang started showing Bernard around and introduced himself as Giles, and they were getting pretty chummy until Bernard decided to speak up. So, if I'm going to be working here helping out, can you tell me what happened to the last guy? He insisted while ensuring his body cam was facing Giles. Trust me, the less you know, the better. I'll just say this, he had it coming. Giles let out a sigh while cracking his knuckles. This answer was sufficient enough for Bernard, as he felt if he pressed further, they might get suspicious of him. They finished touring around the main portion of the warehouse. The only thing left was to head to the back room where the magic happens, according to Giles. This was going to be the final bit of evidence needed for bringing these guys down. The closer they got to that back room door, the more of a chill Bernard felt across his body. What was happening in this room? How long have they gone without being noticed? Is this where they torture people? Giles slowly turned the handle to the door, and a bright light with a chilly wind streamed through. You could hear all kinds of weird sounds inside, like machinery and banging. After the door had been fully opened and Bernard's eyes adjusted to the light, he was in awe by what he witnessed. Multiple stations set up with giant bricks on each one, bricks of ice all being chiseled away and carved into unique shapes and creatures. So, what do you think? Do you think you can work in this environment? Giles nudged Bernard, who could not seem to speak. Bernard shook his head and turned to Giles. But where are the drugs? He said, with a sad and confused look on his face. Drugs? We have the first aid room next door. Can't keep it far from the workroom in case of emergencies. Giles scratched the back of his head, hoping that answer would suffice his curious newcomer. Well now, let's see how qualified you are. Go ahead, we've set up a station for you with a nice slab of ice. You can make anything you want. Bernard stood in front of the ice block and gave a huge gulp. Even in this icy cold room, he was sweating as he had no idea what he was doing or how to explain his way out of this one. Slowly, with a shaky hand, he lifted a chisel and started tapping away at the ice in random places. At first, he was very nervous, but as he chipped away slowly, it started looking more and more intricate. He had entirely forgotten about work and taking down a gang and was finally relaxing. A few hours had passed by without him knowing, and he wiped his brow, then stepped back to look at his masterpiece. Giles approached him from behind to put a hand on his shoulder. "So, you look like you had a lot of fun." Giles had a huge smile on his face, staring at the work of art that Bernard created. "I don't know what the heck you made, but it looks nice enough to do any abstract request we get." He gripped Bernard's shoulder and laughed. "You don't actually have any experience, do you?" "That's all right. We all love a go-getter." Giles continued laughing. Bernard felt a bit embarrassed and decided to come clean about everything. They all had a good laugh over it, and Giles explained that they do a lot of volunteer work for the community, and the other day when Bernard was tailing them, they were actually at an orphanage dressed up to entertain the kids, and the large bags were filled with props. Giles let Bernard know that he is welcome to join them for volunteer work anytime he wishes, and if an abstract ice sculpting job comes up, he can participate, since it seemed like he was having a great time. Bernard was still flushed red from embarrassment, but was happy to make new friends, and even find a fun hobby that would wash away his work stress. He packed up his things and left the warehouse, promising himself to just focus on his vacation and no more stakeouts. As Bernard left and the door closed, Giles raised his hand and called out, "See, boys, I told you he was a cop." He then hit a button on the wall, and all of the lights changed to red as the doors all locked. Is that it?
Yeah.
What? What happened? Why you do that? What's going on? What's going on?
Yeah.
They got the real drugs somewhere?
So the idea is that, he went undercover and found out that they weren't doing anything illegal at the time.
Oh. So the real drugs are in there.
Well, I mean, we don't know if they're drug dealers or like what they do. I'll leave that up to the viewer's imagination to say, like, maybe the lights went red and they just became like a nice club and they're just like, all right, guys, let's do our Magic Mike stuff.
Why? Why is it Magic Mike?
I don't know. Everybody knows Chippendale dancers. That's all.
Who? What's going on? I'm scared. Where are the drugs?
Well, you gotta book them and you'll find out.
Okay. No, I like this. They're criminals probably who volunteer for orphanages and make ice sculptures. I like this.
It's just like, he thought that they went to like an old folks home because he was so far away. He was trying to like peer out and looking. So he's like, okay, that looks like an old folks home. Turns out it's actually an orphanage. So it's like, all right, orphans. He can't really piece it all together and figure out like what's what.
Yeah. I love the idea of like actual drug smugglers having this like side deal where they do like charity work and shit. I love that. That's amazing.
Well, because like, I don't think it's far off though, to be honest.
Of real life?
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people who do
crime.
Yeah, people who commit crime generally do a lot of things community related because it's like, okay, well, I want to better my community, and also people look at me and they're like, wow, you're this like figurehead and you help out so much, you couldn't possibly be involved in crime.
Yeah, no, I don't know about that, but yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it's always good to have like that stuff. And to be fair, in so many like TV shows and movies, a lot of people who do get involved in criminal activity, depending on the type of it, it's like, well, I needed this money from the drugs so that way I can pay for our community to get like a new recreational center.
Yeah, kind of like Breaking Bad, except...
Is it?
Well...
Except I didn't watch that.
Yeah, I didn't watch that. No, I think it was he was trying to get money for his like surgery because the American healthcare system failed him.
Probably.
Yeah, like he had cancer or something. But no, it's an example of like an anti-hero. So yeah.
Yeah. So, they're just like, hey, sometimes they do crimes, sometimes they go to an orphanage. Bada boom, bada bing. What are you gonna do?
And the day the cop infiltrated, it's just like, yeah, no, today we're not doing crime, so...
Yeah, today's a no crime day. It's a good day. Yeah.
Should come back next week when we're doing crime, then arrest us.
Well, I think the idea of them telling him, like, you can come as often as you want for volunteer work and to, like, work on stuff is just, like, keep your enemies close.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Keep your enemies, your friends closer than your enemies. Wait.
No. No. But yeah, like, make your enemies into your friends, and then you have frenemies, and that's the end? All right, cool.
No, that's definitely a good way to keep an eye on him, because he'll just come back and be like, hey guys, I'm here to sculpt, and they'll be like, oh, we're out of ice today.
Exactly. We didn't make any more ice.
They're out on a delivery.
Yeah, once we get more product, we can continue pushing. Like, yeah, so.
Excellent. Good show.
Yeah. But yeah, so hope you all enjoyed our stories here. We have 2 more prompts for next week.
Yes.
But what's happening next week? I feel like it's one of our lives.
Oh, it's live next week. Oh, it's live. It's alive.
Exactly.
Yeah. So yes, tune in, download the Podbean app, and I think that's the only way.
That's the only way.
No, you can also do it on the web, right?
Yeah, you can do it on the website. You won't be able to chat with us, but you can listen in, have a good time just hearing a story, maybe while you're exercising or just hanging out, driving around town, doing the do.
Yes, so it'll be next week, 8 o'clock. What are we, Eastern?
Eastern. Yeah.
Yes. I think we're... Is that it? I think we're done.
So what are the prompts?
Oh, shit. You couldn't pay me to remember that we have to tell each other the prompts. My prompt for you is whenever someone sneezes, they are able to fly for 10 minutes. As like one individual person. Whenever they sneeze, now they have the ability to fly for only 10 minutes.
Okay. Sounds like a fun time. All right, Willy Wonka. We'll do this. Like, we can. I'm just thinking about, like, when they floated up and they like burp to come back down.
Ah, that's like the opposite. That's like.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Yes.
So what I have for you is a random vital element of your choice gets removed from the world. What is the impact? So by vital element, I mean, like, Earth, Wind, and Fire. What happens if they disbanded? Oh, wait. Hold on. So you have all those elements, Earth, Wind, Fire, Water. You got... It depends if you want to include metal. You can choose that stuff. I don't know if we're going to consider spirit an element. It's up to you.
Okay. So if I get rid of oxygen.
So oxygen, you're going to get rid of air?
And water.
Yeah, so you wouldn't be able to. You'd have to get rid of only one.
No, but oxygen particles are in the water. So if I get rid of the element oxygen.
Okay, you're getting rid of, like, the element, like if you're going to cast a spell element. Not like an element on the periodic table of stupidness.
The periodic table is stupid enough to make everything.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
Like real elements, like the important ones. Like when you look at, like, a chart and you're like, what's that on the chart? And you're like, well, we got some fire. We definitely got air.
Wait, what chart is this? Of elements?
The Avatar chart.
Okay, no, I got it. I totally got it. I will not mess this up.
I assure you will. It's okay. But yeah, so that's going to be happening next week. Everyone tune in to see what the hell Michelle does. And we hope you had a good time.
Yeah, we hope you had a good time.
Because we had a good time.
We always have a good time.
Yeah, exactly. We will have order. So tune in next week for that. And goodbye for now.
Bye.
The title of the story is called Bully. The Juke banged the gavel.
You're a Juke. Hold on.
It's the first line. I understand later, but the first line.
Hold on. I think it's like that in multiple places. I just assume it would fix it for me. Okay, no, that's the only time it's like that. Cool. Good to know. Thank you, Google Docs. Thanks.
All right. Is entitled to representation in a court of law. Really?